The clock blinked 3 a.m.
Sarah, eyes glued to the flickering television screen, chewed her thumbnail. Static. Just endless white noise static. She was about to give up on her late-night channel surfing when a face flickered into existence. A man in a crisp suit sat at a desk, a strained smile plastered on his face. He seemed to be staring straight at her.
"Welcome back to Channel 13 News," the man said, his voice distorted and thin. "You're tuned into our nightly broadcast." His smile twitched, faltered.
The camera panned across what looked like an abandoned town square, overgrown with weeds. Empty, dilapidated buildings stood like forgotten tombstones.
"We're here tonight in Hollow Creek," the announcer said, his voice taking on a strained quality. "A quaint little town with a rich history." His eyes darted to the side, a flicker of fear crossing his face. "Or so we thought."
The screen dissolved back into static, leaving Sarah in stunned silence. Hollow Creek. The name echoed in her mind like a half-remembered nightmare. She grabbed her laptop, the glow of the screen reflecting in her wide, disbelieving eyes. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, searching for any trace of Hollow Creek. Nothing. No town by that name existed on any map, in any state. No mention of it online, no news articles, no historical records. It was as if the town had been wiped clean from existence.
Yet I can still see the image of the deserted town square burned into my mind's eye. The announcer's fear-stricken face seared into my memory.
She spent the rest of the night glued to the television, flipping through channels, hoping for another glimpse of the strange broadcast. But Channel 13 remained a wall of static, its secrets locked behind a curtain of white noise. As the first rays of dawn crept through her blinds, Sarah finally gave up, exhaustion pulling at her eyelids. 2 nights later, sleep eluded Sarah. Images of the abandoned town square, the strange announcer, and his barely concealed fear haunted her thoughts. At precisely 3 a.m., she turned on the television, drawn to Channel 13 like a moth to a flickering flame.
This time the announcer was already there, his face slick with sweat, his eyes wide and wild.
"We're still here," he said, his voice a strained whisper. The camera shook, revealing a glimpse of someone else in the room, a shadowy figure just out of frame.
"We can't get out."
He glanced nervously off-screen, his words tumbling over each other in a rush.
"It happened so fast. They came out of nowhere, shadows in the night. Now they're everywhere."
He paused, his eyes pleading with the camera, with Sarah.
"Please, if anyone can hear this, send help. We're trapped in Hollow Creek and—"
His words were cut off by a blood-curdling scream, then silence. A chill snaked down Sarah's spine. The television screen went black, plunging her living room into darkness. She reached for the lamp switch, but the power was out.
She hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest. Suddenly the phone on the end table rang, a shrill, piercing sound that made her jump. Taking a deep breath, she picked up the receiver.
The phone rang again, insistent, demanding.
"Hello," she said, her voice barely a whisper.
"You shouldn't have looked for us, Sarah," the voice hissed. "Now Hollow Creek is coming for you."
The line went dead. Panic welled up inside Sarah. She wanted to dismiss it all as a prank, a hallucination brought on by sleep deprivation. But the fear felt too real, the announcer's terror too genuine to be faked. She glanced out her window at the darkened street, every shadow seeming to writhe and twist, every rustle of leaves sounding like approaching footsteps.
The wind picked up outside, howling like a banshee. Sarah could have sworn she heard whispers carried on the wind, voices calling her name, beckoning her into the darkness. She stumbled back from the window, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest.
She was trapped, her apartment now a prison of fear. The phone rang again, the sound echoing in the darkness like a death knell. Sarah didn't answer it. She knew with a certainty that chilled her to the bone that it would be the voice from the broadcast, the voice of Hollow Creek, calling to claim her.
Then, in the distance, she heard it, a low rumbling sound like thunder rolling in on a summer night. But there were no storms tonight. She crept back to the window, her hand trembling as she pulled back the curtain. Narrator. Hours crawled by. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, threatening to shatter the fragile barrier between Sarah and the darkness that pressed in from all sides. Her eyes darted around the room, her senses on high alert, every creak of the floorboards, every sigh of the wind sending shivers down her spine.
A wall of impenetrable darkness, darker than the night itself, was rolling in from the horizon, consuming everything in its path. And within that swirling blackness, she could see them, shadowy figures, their forms shifting and coalescing, their eyes burning with a cold, malevolent light. Hollow Creek had arrived, and it had come for Sarah.